are going so far. So I'm going to go ahead and start it. So should just be you and me are the only ones who have our mics turned on right now, Adam, and I'll shut mine off as soon as I get done introducing you. So like I said, you go through your spiel and just let me know, and just hand it over to me when you're done doing your presentation, and then I'll go ahead and start off with some of the questions that I have for you that I think would just be general, like useful information for the girls. And then girls, I'm also going to encourage you guys to ask any questions that you want in the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat, but I'd love to have you guys answer or ask some questions, and I'm sure Coach Adam would as well. So you can do that at any time, and I'll keep an eye on the overall chat. So anyways, girls, welcome. Thanks for taking part on this. Let me introduce you to Coach Adam Black. He's the head coach at Moorpark College. Adam and I have known each other through club volleyball for, I don't know, at least 10 years now, right?
Yeah.
You coached for SMBC before it was Lava back in the day?
No, just jumped into Lava pretty much right away. Coached at a boys club called Classic that's no longer around, way back in the early 2000s.
And you were with Lava South for pretty much almost like since inception, right?
I was involved here and there, but I coached two seasons, at the tail end of coaching in club before I got the job at Moorpark.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll let you go ahead and go here, and I'll shut my mic off.
All right. Sounds great. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and taking some time out of the day to chat a little bit of volleyball and see what junior college volleyball is about, and specifically what Moorpark College is all about. Obviously, I'm going to remain a little biased to my school because I think my school and my institution is the best institution around, better than all those other four-year universities either. So anyways, what I would like to do is share a quick presentation that I've put together. And let's see if I can get this going here. There, can everyone see that? Looks like it. And just really quickly, I'll just kind of run through Moorpark College, who we are, who I am, and out of that, I think some questions about community college volleyball or community college athletics in general will start to come up. And I think there's some general information here too that is pertinent just to community college volleyball. But of course, I have thrown some things in there that is specific to my program and my coaching style as well. So first and foremost, Moorpark College was established in 1967, a little over 50 years ago. We have a large student body, about 15,000 students. We're one of the best colleges, community colleges around. We're ranked number 6 in California by bestcolleges.com, and we're ranked in the top 15% of community colleges in the nation. So that's the top 15% out of over 1,000 community colleges in the country. Fun little fact about Moorpark, if you're not familiar with us, we have our own zoo. We have lions, we got tigers, we got monkeys, and we're known across the nation as America's teaching zoo. I guess we're one of 2 institutions that actually train up the next zookeepers of America. So that's also a little fun fact. And also another cool thing is that for any community colleges, it's not just Moorpark, but a cool thing is that if you are a junior or senior in high school, you can attend a community college for tuition free and start getting those credits out of the way for college that are also transferable to some other institutions. So for example, a high school student who maybe would like to go to Stanford can get some of their classes done at Ventura, Oxnard, or Moorpark. And some of those units could be transferable to Stanford, UCLA, Northridge, and that count towards your overall bachelor's degree. So that's a little cool thing. A little bit about Moorpark. We have 16 sports, and of those 16 sports, we have 121 Western State Conference championships. That includes Moorpark, Ventura, Santa Barbara, some of the immediate colleges in the area. And so we have 121 Western State conferences overall, 12 state championships, and 9 supremacy awards, which is basically our little competition between us, Oxnard, and Ventura College. who's the best athletic department. So I thought that was kind of cool to see. A little bit about our women's volleyball program. Women's volleyball was added in 1973. We have 12 Western State Conference championships. And here's something that's interesting. I think that's good to know for a lot of people who might be thinking community college is a good route, is that we have over 100 transfers just for volleyball alone over the last 30 years. So if you were to kind of divide that out, you're looking at between 3 or 4 transfers per year to a 4-year university to play college volleyball. We have beach volleyball that was just added in 2018. And so we've been around for 3 years. Well, I guess you could say 2.5 years if you're considering the current pandemic that we're in. But so we've been around for a relatively short amount of time. And in that short amount of time, we won our conference championship and we had a state final appearance. So I think we're trying to do really good things with being a relatively new program. Just to kind of go through real quickly, just to show you specifically for our program, one of the reasons why I think we at Moorpark College is a great destination and a great option for players that are thinking about continuing to play in college is that for us, we operate by a certain set of core values that really help the players to mature and to become the best version of themselves. And so if you ask any player in my program why they're a part of my program, they're going to respond with the following phrase, and that is to invest in ourselves and in our teammates. And so we really impress this upon our players that they're not just there to play volleyball, but they're there to also become and so what you see below, that priority of becoming the best person and best teammate they can possibly become. And so that's going to be learning, being able to transfer skills to the game, accountability, communication, being inclusive of everybody on a team, being team-centered, valuing competition, being present, being in the moment really, being able to solve problems when we come up against them, especially in the middle of a game, and being disciplined in our pursuit of greatness, really. Here's also some really good reasons why I think community college athletics should be something that everyone thinks about doing or considering at least. First off, community colleges, California community colleges are very affordable. When you're looking at total price breakdown for a year in comparison to the Cal States and UC schools, we're a very affordable option with great academics. So if you look at the affordability bullet points, you'll see that a California community college per year can be around $1,300. So that's for the whole entire year for tuition. Where if you look at the Cal States, like Cal State Northridge, Channel Islands, Cal State Long Beach, that's going to cost you about $7,000 a year. And if you look at the UCs, like UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC Santa Barbara, UC Davis, that's going to be about $12,000 per year. And so you could come to Moorpark College for 2 to 3 years and walk out with your associate's degree and probably a 90% chance of getting into a school that you want to get into for a third of the cost, maybe less than that, of a Cal State or UC school that you would like to go to. In fact, one of my players right now, she goes to USC just for school, but because she attended Moorpark first, she was able to save a lot of money. She got great grades. She got into USC, and next year at this time, she will have a bachelor's degree that says University of Southern California on it. And that's only for spending half the cost as it would have if she went there for all 4 years. And I would argue probably got better education in her general ed. Another reason to consider community college, specifically Moorpark, is that we have better financial aid options. We have the California Promise. Not sure if anyone is familiar with that, but basically what that is for people who qualify, they can get their first 2 years of college paid for or waived if they are first-time, full-time community college students. So this is the first time they've ever been to college and they're going full-time. They may qualify for free tuition for up to 2 years. So that's a huge thing. The California Promise does not extend to four-year universities. It only is extended to community colleges. Moorpark, as well as the other community colleges, will have their own certain set of small scholarship offers. So they may offer $500 here. Well, that could take care of all your books. They may offer $1,000 here. That could buy you a new computer. And so they have a bunch of small scholarships that you could apply for that is just pertinent to the institution that you are attending. Another great reason that community colleges would be a great fit, specifically Moorpark, is athletic academic counselors. Most community college has one counselor specific for athletics. At Moorpark, we have two. So what that means is all of our athletes, they get one-on-one attention in making sure that they're keeping up with their schoolwork, they're keeping up with their grades, they're keeping up with communications, and they're getting the proper guidance on creating their schedule to reach their goal of getting their associate's degree and or transferring. Tutoring services at Moorpark are great tutoring services. In fact, they are offering tutoring services via Zoom. So any students, including athletes, need some extra help, they can set up a Zoom reservation and they can get the attention they need for their math classes, their English classes, their writing classes. We have great professors, which is why we're ranked as one of the top community colleges around. Our professors are really good about creating the time necessary that students need. Excuse me. Our student athletes also get priority registration. Not every community college gets priority registration for their athletes. We fortunately do. So our student athletes get to register about a week before the general population has to register. So they are insured almost of getting all of their classes that they want. We at Moorpark have a brand new facility, which I have a picture of it later on in the presentation. Our gym went under an $18 million renovation. And so we not only have a new gym floor, but every team has their own locker room, state-of-the-art facilities, state-of-the-art offices, conference rooms, video rooms. So that's a pretty cool thing for us. And of course, specific to Moorpark, a great reason is that we have a winning tradition. That's just a quick snippet of who we are. I just wanted to show some pictures of our program for those that are zooming in via video. Actually, I think I might have skipped a, I might have skipped a slide, but that's okay. Here's just some of the players that have come through. So you can see by some of these pictures, we try to create a family environment where, you know, it's not everyone gets along, but we have the goal of doing well and being successful, and that often facilitates positive relationships. The picture on our right, some of you might recognize her, number 5, Morgan Auslan. I think she played at Rise. And Chris, is that true? She played at Rise? I don't know if you can chime in on that.
Morgan played 17s for us.
Gotcha.
She went to Ventura High School.
Yep. And so
Lexi played for us too.
That's right. There she is. Yeah, Lexi, Morgan. And so we, you know, she came in, and so that team was a part of my first team when I took over at Moorpark College in 2017. Our beach program, you know, we have here, so you can see here. And then that picture where we're all bundled up in the rain, that was our last practice before the whole entire season got canceled, unfortunately. And then just a few other pictures from our indoor season and our WSC championship. That year we went undefeated in our conference, which was a really awesome thing that Moorpark College has never experienced. And there's our new floor. That is our new floor that we first got to play on starting in September. So it was a really good stuff. Every year we try to get together as a team and do a community service, or we do community service and we also celebrate the end of the season. This past year, you see all the girls sitting on the couches at my house. We just did a little barbecue and had everyone come over to do our end of the year banquet, if you will. So graduation. And I had a slide here that was, here's the slide. Just a little bit of an introduction more about myself that I missed this. I played at the University of Laverne and at CSUN in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then after that, I jumped into coaching right away. So I've been coaching for 20 years now, both men and women in college, men and women in community college, girls and boys in high school and club, and girls and boys summer camps. Some of the places I've coached at is at Pepperdine, one of the more prestigious men's volleyball programs around. CSUN, where I played at, Pierce College on the men's side, Pacifica High School in Oxnard, Chaminade High School in the San Fernando Valley. Before Moorpark College, I was at Harvard Westlake, which is a high school out in Studio City. And now I'm here at Moorpark College. I've been at Moorpark for the last 3 years, since 2017. And so since then, we've had some pretty successful years. Our first year, we won our conference. Second year, we came second in our conference, sadly. But our third year, this past season, we went undefeated and won a conference back again. For Beach, again, our first year, we won our conference, went to the state finals. And this year, I had no doubt in my mind that we would have done really well and made a run at the conference and a run back at the state finals. Unfortunately, the current conditions are what they are. So yeah, that's just a little snippet on Moorpark College, who I am, a couple of reasons why I think community college is great. Otherwise, that's the quick presentation I just wanted to make for everyone to see. So yeah, so that's all I got there, Chris. So if you want to chime in with some questions, or I can start seeing some questions here on the side.
I know that besides just kind of people necessarily landing in your lap, you do go out and try to see the local players. So at what point in time do you think that girls would expect to start seeing you around or hearing from you potentially if you were interested in recruiting them to come and play for Moorpark?
Yeah. I usually try to get out early in the high school season. So I'll try to get out to a few tournaments, in that August, September time frame. And then after that, I'm into my season, so I would rarely make it out. And then when club starts up, I usually try to get out there starting in the March-ish time frame, because at that point in time, some players have realized that maybe community college, maybe Moorpark College is the best avenue for them. And so in that March, maybe mid-February, I'll start getting out to club practices and club tournaments. And really that time frame is helpful for me because January, I'm trying to get my beach team going for the season. And so most of my time and attention is devoted to them. And once we have done everything we need to do in the beginning of the season for them to get going, that frees my time up a little bit more to start getting back hot on the recruiting trail.
Is it pretty much exclusively seniors that you're going to be talking to, or will you start talking to girls their junior year of high school potentially?
More seniors, but I will always talk to juniors if I think that they have talents to continue to play volleyball after high school. But I really start heavily speaking to them their senior year, because as a junior, they're sometimes still figuring out if they want to go to a 4-year. But I will always keep that door open for sure and open up those conversations. A perfect example is someone from your club who I started speaking to as a junior. But you know, we were going back and forth, but good for her. She's going to go to a 4-year, so that's great stuff.
Yeah, and just sometimes sometimes City College comes around as a late decision, but I know that some kids can already know early on that that's the track that you know they're going to take. And I've had a lot of friends who are very successful going the City College track on the guys and the girls side in terms of being able to transfer in. What is kind of the tryout procedure, or during the, I mean, well, essentially in terms of like offering a spot during their senior year, will you let a girl know, you know, if you want to come here, I definitely have a spot for you? And if they haven't heard from you and they don't know that and haven't had that direct communication, is there some kind of open tryout that, or they just try to get a hold of you? What would you recommend?
Right. So yeah, the first part of your question, if we're recruiting somebody or they have contacted us and I've had a chance to evaluate their skills and their game and see them in practice or at a tournament, and if I say, hey, we'd love to have you be a part of our program, that's me extending an offer to or a spot on our team. So at that point, right, there's no trial. It's here's their schedule, here's the dates, here's what we're doing. Let's go. For those that I may have not had a chance to see, we have to do some sort of time frame where I get to evaluate their skills, and so that usually involves me seeing some video first. And if I see the video, I'm like, and I say, hey, you know, this is some good stuff I'm seeing. Here's what I would like to do, and that usually involves part of our summer training as this evaluation period in live. And so that will happen usually in July, middle of July, and we'll go for as long as I think is needed. You know, we had one player who made the team through a tryout period, and her, I guess, tryout, you could say, lasted for about a week before I decided, hey, yes, we're gonna keep you. Others who I've never seen showed up and they said, hey, I'd like to play volleyball, and they were really good on the first day. And I said, hey, you're on our team, day one, ready to go.
Got it. Cool. What does it look like? So if a girl does come to you and wants to go on the path of like, hey, coach, I want to come play at Moorpark, but my desire is to go on and play for a 4-year. Just kind of, you know, quickly, what are you talking with her, and how are you helping her navigate that process, whether it be coming out after 1 year, coming out after 2 years?
Right. Well,
or maybe you should talk about eligibility as well for community college and what that is and how that affects going on afterwards as well.
Right. Okay. So let's first present philosophically what is it important to me about players that want to come to Moorpark College, play, and then transfer on. My goal for my players academically and athletically is to leave Moorpark College within 2 or 3 years, mostly depending on their academics. If you're going to major in science, that could be a little bit longer of a time at Moorpark College. And by longer, I mean maybe 1 semester longer. But my goal is for my players to get in, get done with their units, and transfer on. So that's first and foremost. If a player comes in and they're here for 1 year and a 4-year university says, hey, we really like them, can they transfer after their first year? I'm always going to say yes, because that's what's best for that player. And that's what I would want for any of my players, is if they're here for only a year and they transfer on, and that means that, you know, we're going to be losing a talented player. In my eyes, that's okay, because that's part of my job, is to help these young student athletes transfer and play if that's what they want to do, is play. And if they do that in 1 year, that's great. And so that's kind of philosophically how I align with helping the athletes move on. In terms of eligibility, to be eligible at a community college, specifically for women's volleyball, when we get a player, they need to be enrolled in 9 academic units. So English, math, science. 9 units is what they need to be enrolled in academically to be eligible to play at Moorpark College, Ventura
Can they take
College.
those classes at multiple schools, or do they have to take them on campus at Moorpark?
You can take them within the same district. So, for example, I have one of my players, Janessa Valawaga. She lives near Oxnard, and so she, in the fall, took her classes at Oxnard. She was done by 11:30, and then drove out to Moorpark for practices. Is that ideal? It depends on the player's situation. Morgan did her classes during the day, and then she took one evening class that met one night a week at Ventura College. So that kind of worked out for her schedule, but all those count. Now,
So you can mix and match as well.
yeah, within the district.
Right. Just for
If you're gonna do it
clarification, you could
outside of
take,
the district, it's going to be, there's some, that gets a little funky and it can create some problems.
right, but just for clarification, so for Morgan, you're saying that she took her day classes at Moorpark, but then she had one night class that she took at Ventura College.
Correct. That met, I think, like on a Monday night.
Right.
Right. So that way she would come to class or come to Moorpark, took like 2 classes on a Monday, Wednesday. She was there for practice, took like a 1 class on a Tuesday, Thursday. So that freed up her schedule during the day to maybe go and study, go talk to her professors. And then the 1 night class probably worked out with her in terms of her work schedule. So that way she could take that in the evenings on Monday and not have to worry about another class perhaps getting in the way of her work schedule.
And how many seasons of eligibility do you have at the community college level?
Right. So you have 3 years to play 2 seasons at the community college level.
So you can redshirt your freshman year as well?
You
Or
can redshirt one of those years. I have 3 red shirts from this past season.
and those count towards your overall eligibility as well, just so we let the girls know. So if you play 2 years at the community college level, that counts towards your 5-year clock if you do go on to a 4-year.
Correct. So if I have a player who's interested in playing, let's say at Northridge, if she plays her freshman year, redshirts her sophomore year, and then plays a 3rd year, she only has 2 years left at Northridge. If she redshirts her freshman year, plays her sophomore year, and is ready to transfer, then she has 3 years left to play at Northridge. Athletically, academically, she may be on a different schedule where she could be done with her bachelor's in 4 years, but still she has saved essentially a year of eligibility that she could still use.
Right. Cool. That's most of my questions. I guess I don't see any questions from the girls yet. Oh, hold on.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
Coach Joe asked, there are a lot of club volleyball girls that want to play in college, but they don't know what they need to do. For the younger girls, sophomores and younger, what can they be doing to kickstart their process of figuring out how to play in college? So he's got a second one too, but I'll let you just do that first one as well. So since you deal with girls who, kind of at the end are figuring out what they want to play, what are some of those things that you think are big decision factors for girls of whether they want to play in college or not?
Right. So I think one of the things that players need to understand about college athletics is the commitment level and what kind of commitment level they want to be a part of. Because the commitment can often vary with the type of institution that you play at and the division that you're going to play in. So for example, if someone plays at a Division III university, most of the time, their biggest commitment is going to be in the fall rather than in the spring. But if you play at a Division I school, their commitment might feel like it's year round, where heavy in the fall and still kind of heavy in the spring, but you're still doing stuff. a former player of mine from Harvard Westlake, she went to go play at Emory at Division III, and her fall was busy because of playing volleyball, traveling, and going to school. But in the spring, there was really nothing going on for them because their coach was also involved with the softball program. And so, she basically had her spring all to herself with other than the lifting commitment that happened 3 days a week.
I actually
So
have one of our players, Avery, who's looking at Emory. Did your player having a good experience there?
she had a great experience. They won a national championship her senior year.
Cool.
So yeah, and she really enjoyed the coaching staff. She really enjoyed the head coach, and she really enjoyed the team. And so I think that's a great option for players that are looking to get good volleyball and have a good experience.
I think also that when you do play at the community college level, just in my experience in helping, because I've still helped girls through the process and still continue to help them navigate, their college careers even after they leave to go play for you or go play for Brad or Santa Barbara or something like that, is that you have a little bit more of a clear head about what you want later on when you're a senior or you're a freshman at the community college level. And you can have a better idea of what kind of commitment level you want, which helps steer you towards whether you want to go play at this D1 or D2 or D3 or any sort of mix and match of those, because we know that there's all kinds of different commitment levels even at those particular divisions. There's Division II schools that are going to have a bigger commitment because they're super competitive D2 schools versus D1 schools that are less competitive, and that's really something that they need to get. I'm always going to tell them they need to get a really good idea of who their coach is and have a real good feeling of that coach's style and what they expect out of them, and
the
hopefully get some honest answers.
The expectations of those coach and that program. So like at my program, our beach volleyball program is also somewhat dependent on our indoor program in that we want our indoor players to play beach volleyball. And if that's the case, then they're in season year round. Now I format my beach volleyball season so it feels somewhat like an off season, but they're we're still traveling every Friday to go play. We're down in San Diego before the pandemic hit. We go up to Bakersfield. So we go up to Santa Barbara. So we still travel during the beach season. And I counted up the weeks and the hours last year. And I realized that some of our players put more time in than what they would at a Division I school if just playing one sport. So a player that played indoor and beach for me put in more hours than what a player would have done if they went to Northridge and just played indoor volleyball. So it really is dependent. I also think, just to also get back to the question, for the younger girls that are interested in playing, what kind of commitment level are you looking for? I think that's one thing you got to be kind of aware of. And like Chris said, you get a better idea of what that is for you, the individual, as you get a little bit older. But you also need to decide what options are available based on the location you want to be in. There's a lot of volleyball out there. There's a lot of volleyball scholarships out there. And just so we're clear, community colleges in California don't offer scholarships. But beyond that, there's a lot of scholarships available out there that aren't necessarily in Southern California. And one thing I always tell my players is, if you come to Moorpark for 2 years and you get all your academics out of the way and you're ready to transfer in 2 years, and that sends you to a different part of the country that you never thought you would go to, there is this nervousness about going to a state that you are afraid to go to, or really this nervousness about leaving Southern California. In reality, you're going to be there for 2 years, and then you can always come back home. And I think that's important to know, because that's 2 years that you get to have a whole different experience that I think will guarantee growth in every single person who does that. I myself am not originally from California. I'm originally from Hawaii. And so, and I get it, paradise, why would I leave paradise? And I left to pursue volleyball. And coming to a different state was pretty scary. But now I'm still here 20 years later. And it's one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. And if it didn't work out, I could always go back home. And so that's one thing I always tell the players is, if you have an idea of what you want, that's going to that's going to determine also the options that you have. If you only want to stay in Southern California, that is going to determine a smaller list. If you don't mind going out of state, that's going to grow your list of schools, including scholarship offers. So I think that's also really one thing to also keep in mind.
Yeah, I had a player who played high school for me, Morgan Gallagher, and she went to VC to play, right? And that was kind of like she had one offer on the table to play for a school that she wasn't sure if she wanted to go there. And the only reason she would have chosen it is literally because it was the only 4-year option offer that had been made to her. And I kind of steered her in the direction of, maybe you should go and play at the community college level, because I think that after a season or two there, you'll have more options going
Right.
forward. You'll continue to develop as a player, and you'll have a better idea of what you want, where you want to go, and you'll be probably recruited more heavily because you'll be a better player. And also, I think it's important for players to know that they're not always necessarily missing the boat, not getting in as a freshman. There are a lot of girls that go away and take an offer from a 4-year that end up coming back after their freshman year. So coaches of a lot of 4-year institutions are constantly looking to fill holes that have been made by girls who came and decided that, it wasn't for them, or, it could be the opposite of what you did, right? It could be, I know girls who have gone to Hawaii thinking that they were going to paradise only to get island fever after a year.
Yep.
And come home and, they were all gung-ho about it when they left and thought it was the good decision, and then came back home and, they went out there to play. Now that coach has got to fill a void of a player that was supposed to be there for 4 years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity out there for community college players.
Oh, yeah. So 2 points to piggyback on that. I am a recipient of a bounce back. Megan Wall, she went to Boston College.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. 6'1", 6'2".
Megan went to Camarillo, just so everybody.
Differently. I went to Camarillo.
Yeah.
And so definitely from the area. And she went to Boston College and didn't have the experience here that she was hoping for. And they had a coaching change. And so she came back, and she fortunately redshirted there. So she has 2 years with us, and then she can transfer and play 2 years at the 4-year level. And she was actually one who we said, hey, after a year, if you're gone after a year because a 4-year picked you up, then a 4-year picked you up, and we're okay with that. And she chose to stay to play for 1 more year because she liked the experience that she was having at Moorpark. But to your point, we get bounce backs, as they're called, to the community college level. And with that being said, it does open up some holes. And there is a large number of 4-year universities that depend on community college transfers to fill their roster. And they're looking to community colleges to produce the level of players that they need for them to be successful. So I get phone calls and emails from these schools often asking for an outside hitter or a middle or a setter or a libero that can come in and start playing right away. And so, that is also another great thing about community college, is that some of those offers, the offers may grow as they develop at a Moorpark college, let's say.
Got it. Quick question from, I think Alana from our 17s team. Typical time frames for getting recruited. I think, Alana, that just depends on the school, because you have some schools that are going to be going after you. Like if Stanford wants you, you'll know when you're a freshman in high school if Stanford wants you or not, most likely, or a sophomore. So, all the way to a community college level, where you're hearing from them more your senior year and everywhere in between. But I think kind of a more important question, do you have any tips for girls, and because you do, help navigate them still going into college, about getting a bead on how much a college program really wants you versus, because there are a lot of college schools that will kind of put it out there that they're interested in you, but it's hard to decipher how interested they are in you, and if they're your number one school, the best way to communicate that to them.
Right. If a college wants you, if a coach wants you, they're going to let you know. And if they really, really want you, they're going to be communicating with you on a consistent basis. And they're going to be, letting you know how much they think you would fit into their program. And so that's one, obviously one good way to gauge it. But that's not for, I think a more common experience, and I went through this as well as an athlete, is trying to figure out how much I was wanted by a school. And so that was a little bit of a challenge. I think one thing to understand is that it's a matching process where a school is trying to get a good feel for the athlete, and the athlete's trying to get a good feel for the school. And in that process, there's going to be this time lag, if you will, of trying to figure out, is this going to be a good fit for the program? And so often a coach may see a player multiple times before saying, hey, I think this is going to be a great fit. And that's just the way it is. And so my advice would be to keep staying on the recruiting path, on the recruiting trail, and keep sending out information to the schools and to coaches that you are interested in, while at the same time, don't neglect other schools that maybe not as high on your list. Because one thing that we know for sure, what we do know is that we don't know what type of experience we're going to have when we go to a school. I mean, Chris, you said it well. A lot of players, they'll leave the 4-year university that they were just at because they didn't have the experience that they really wanted. And they didn't know that until they actually got there. And so that's one thing to be aware of when they're going through this process here. I know for me, I will let someone know right away, based on what I see, as early as I can, if I think they'll be a great fit. And here's what I always say: you are good enough to make the program, but we have this type of situation or scenario with our roster. For example, if I have 20 middles, and then I get someone saying, well, I'm a middle, and I see if they're good enough to be at this level, hey, then I'll let them know, hey, you're good enough to be at this level, but also know that we're deep in the middle hitter position, and it's going to be a battle to see if they can get to a starting spot. Even if I think they're really, really good and that they could easily earn the starting spot, I'll let them still know that you still have to earn it. But I would really love to have you a part of this program. And so I'm very transparent in my communication with recruits about what our needs are, how much I want you to be a part of our program, but also what is it that you're going to be walking into, so there's no surprises when they get here. I don't know if I answered your question there.
Yeah, no, I think you did. And I think, Alana, one thing that I would say as well is what Adam said about schools being kind of specific about what they're saying back to you in terms of how you'll fit into their program is a really good indicator. Because if a school just says, hey, we really like you, that's one thing. If a school says, we really like you and this is exactly how we see you fitting into our program, those are two completely different messages coming from that coach. Probably in that first scenario, you're one of many they're talking to. And in that second scenario, you're someone that they're pursuing for a spot. And so the flip flop of that is when you talk to colleges, girls, if you really want that school, you don't necessarily have to gush over that school and tell them they're the greatest school ever. You can give them specifics, research their programs, research the major that you want to be. So you can write to the coach and say, hey coach, I've looked into the school. You have this major. I see this track. This is a track that I see myself going on in terms of pursuing this career. And so I know for me, when I talk to a lot of coaches, when the girls play for my club, and those coaches often call me and ask me, does she really want to play for me, or am I just one on her list? So it's almost like both sides are doing the same thing to some extent, and there can be an offer on the table if they knew that you really wanted to be there. And if you're communicating to them specifically how you see yourself fitting into their institution, then that communicates to them, oh, this person took the time to really, research the school, and they really, really want to go to the school. So I feel more comfortable offering a spot, because remember, a college coach is going to offer a spot, and if you say you're going to take it, they're not going after other people anymore. So then if you change your mind later on down the line, they may have missed out on other recruits that they had as well, and they don't really want to give up those communications with those other recruits until they know, or at least they're convinced that you absolutely want to go there and going to be on their doorstep your freshman year.
Yeah,
Right.
we had an experience at Pepperdine where it was between us and two other schools to get this blue chip recruit, and we were waiting and we were waiting and we were waiting, and it was getting down to the wire that if it wasn't going to be Pepperdine, we were going to lose out on other recruits that we were trying to stay in touch with. And we were able to get an idea that this particular recruit was not going to come to Pepperdine. And we didn't know where he was going to go. All we knew was that we were out. And so that freed us up to start really recruiting the players that we felt could still help us in the long run. And so coaches definitely go through the same thing. And how much does this player want to come to Moorpark College? How much do they really love us? Do they really want to come here? Do they really want to take advantage of all the resources we have? Or are we number 2 in their list, number 3 in their list? Where do we stand as well? And so that's definitely an excellent perspective, that it's a matching process that is really a two-way street.
All right, last question, and I want to wrap up and let you go, Adam. Avery, who's actually the girl who is looking at Emory, she said, in order to get recruited at an out-of-state school, is it necessary for them to see you in person, physically, not through video? I would say from my end, I mean, just with examples, no. I've had girls go play for out-of-state schools. I never saw them play in person, but you probably deal with that a lot from your end, where a girl from community college goes and plays, and that coach has never actually seen them play live.
Yeah. Yes. For us at the community college level, the relationships that I have with coaches is a relationship that helps the players get to certain schools. And so I will send out a video of a player to a coach, and my relationship with that coach, or my reputation, which I think is a good reputation, is the integrity that coach relies upon to say, yes, we want this player to come and play for us, without seeing them in person. So it is possible. I think most coaches would love to see players in person. They would love to see them at their games, see how they interact during timeouts, see how they interact when they're losing, how they're winning, when they're not playing, how do they interact with their teammates, or what are their attitudes like? A lot of coaches would love to see that in person. The reality is, at least for some levels that are looking to recruit, it's tough for them to get out to where you may be. And so if that's the case, players need someone on their behalf to help them get to that next level. And at the community college level, that's what part of our jobs is, to help these players get to the 4-year level so that they can play. And I myself look at as part of my job is to act on behalf of that athlete to get there. So yeah, video is huge, but and sometimes that's the only thing that you have.
Yeah, and I think you probably would agree along the same lines as I try to communicate to girls that I have to be really honest with the coaches that I'm friends with and that I know and I have a relationship with in order to maintain that integrity. So I stole this phrase from someone a long time ago, but it was like to be as much of an and player and not a but player, which means when I talk about you, I say, you're great at this, you're great at this, you're great at this, and you're a phenomenal teammate, and you take direction really well, instead of you do this great, you do this great, you do this great, but you're kind of hard to get along with, and you're kind of tough to coach. So you want, you can see a lot of the volleyball stuff in video, and then you're looking to the coach, you or I, or the club director, to give them the and or the buts, you know, kind of about what type of person they're getting, not just what type of volleyball player they're getting. So in answer to your question, Avery, you can absolutely get recruited without them seeing you. They see the video and then they have a conversation with us, you know, or with your, you know, with Joe, your particular coach, per se, and get a feel for it that way. So anyways, anything else you want to add, Adam? I want to let you go. I want to let the girls go. I really, really appreciate you doing this.
No, I appreciate you setting this up. It's always great to talk volleyball and to just to kind of put out some information that will help the next generation of players, you know, realize their academic and athletic goals. I think to kind of, I guess, close, one thing to always, and this is one thing that we're always battling at the community college, is that we are an option, a really good option. And I say that without trying to say that we are a second option. Although I know in reality, if somebody doesn't get to a 4-year university, maybe Moorpark College is the route to go. But what I always hear from the majority of athletes, specifically at Moorpark College, is it wasn't their first choice, but it was the best choice that they ever made. Because of some of the things that we talked about here. It gave them an opportunity to get better at their game, at their skills, at their sport. It gave them an opportunity to grow up a little bit and get their academics in order. It gave them an opportunity to create strong relationships that fueled their confidence so that they could go out to those other institutions, transfer to those 4 years, and really rock it when they get there. And I would also close with one other thing. California is a great place for volleyball, and it's you can just feel the energy with volleyball in California. And so a lot of the great coaches, a lot of really good coaches want to be in California. I think I'm a pretty good coach. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I have a good resume, and I have some good achievements. You know, we have a couple of championships, we have Final Fours appearances and finals appearances and CIF stuff and those types of accolades to my resume. But I like being in California, which means if you stay in California at a community college, you're probably going to get a solid coach. And then that will help build you up to go out to the rest of the country, where quite honestly, they are still trying to catch up to California. And so, you know, if you decide to stay here and come to Moorpark, you're going to be getting the excellent coaching, I think.
High level of volleyball.
Yeah, you're going to get high level quality IQ volleyball for sure in Southern California. And because of that, you're going to be better prepared when you do leave. So that's Moorpark College. That's community college. And that's some good stuff right there. I think that would be great for anybody.
Perfect. Well, I think your wife and my wife went shopping together for curtains, but yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. You got good taste in curtains and good taste
Anyway, well, thanks a lot, and appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. We'll stay in touch.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Thanks. Okay, bye.